Hello, Seawolves, and welcome back to another edition of Stony Brook Media Group. I'm Angelique Powell.
And I'm Vyong Hao. We have a lot to talk about today, but first off, here in the studio, we recognize and honor all of our veterans who have served to protect this country. Thank you for your service. This past week, Stony Brook University celebrated the achievements of current and past veterans. Our reporter, Erlon Cyrus, attended the event to figure out what Veterans Day truly means to those part of the community.
Veterans Day is a day where we take time to pay homage to our veterans who have serviced us in the U.S. military, keeping us safe and protected. And we did take the time to interview some organizers and veterans here at the event. Take a look. I am the Associate Director of Military and Veteran Student Services at Stony Brook. So our office is the one who plans and sponsors this event, along with the Veterans Day Ceremony Committee. We work every day with our nation's heroes at Stony Brook, our student veterans and their families. And a lot of people don't even realize that they're on our campus, in our classes, in our buildings all around. And so this is a wonderful opportunity for us to thank them for their service, acknowledge everything that they've done, and celebrate all of their sacrifices. Everything that we have, right, is because of these sacrifices that they have made for our nation. And so this is our opportunity to celebrate them and thank them.
And why I feel like every day is Veterans Day for all of us. A veteran can explain to other veterans what has happened and what they're thinking of. When I first came here, I was like the weird duck in a carnival, and I was treated that way. And I found our only basis of any kind of friendship or understanding and feeling was to be with other veterans. So I like to explain to them benefits of life, benefits of our exposure to world war, and what we can do to make ourselves better people and better members of the community.
It's important to remember, appreciate, and respect veterans every day, but to have a dedicated holiday towards showing our appreciation and reverence to the people who signed up and gave their lives and their livelihoods to be able to protect and serve our country is an incredibly important and foundational part of value for our country. So I think it's a really important thing that we're able to do it here today, and it's incredible that Stony Brook has made a point of giving the local veterans a ceremony too.
For Stony Brook Media Group, I'm Erlon Cyrus.
The satirical news website, The Onion, has won a bankruptcy auction to acquire InfoWars, the infamous website founded by conspiracy theorist Alex Jones. This comes as part of a bankruptcy sale backed by families of the Sandy Hook school shooting victims who previously won a $1.4 billion defamation lawsuit against Jones. The Onion plans to rebrand InfoWars as a parody site, targeting misinformation and mocking conspiracy-driven internet personalities. However, shortly after the announcement, a Houston judge put a temporary hold on the sale, citing a need for more transparency in the auction process. While some criticizing the sale as a political statement, the families involved see it as a form of justice. The Onion intends to partner with gun control advocacy groups like Everytown for Gun Safety, bringing a satirical yet pointed message about the impact of misinformation. If the sale is approved, InfoWars could relaunch in January under The Onion, blending satire with social commentary. For now, the court has scheduled a follow-up hearing for next week.
Tropical Storm Sarah churns in the Caribbean Sea Thursday, threatening Central America with what forecasters warn could become a catastrophic flooding disaster. While some models suggest Sarah could strengthen into a major hurricane and strike Florida's Gulf Coast by mid-next week, the storm faces significant obstacles in its path. University of Miami senior research scientist Brian McNulty told USA Today that in approaching several obstacles, including a cold front in the Gulf of Mexico, could potentially dissipate the storm. Now let's turn to Imra Ahmed and Anjali Sinha with international news.
Typhoon Usagi hit the Philippines' Luzon Island, prompting warnings of flooding and landslides in the north. Locally called Typhoon Ophel, this is the fifth major storm in 3 weeks, following typhoons that killed over 100 people. Usagi brought winds of 150 miles per hour, but weakened after landfall. Forecasters predict heavy rain and storm surges up to 10 feet in northeastern Luzon, with over 24,000 people evacuated from the Cagayan province. The storm is now expected to move toward Taiwan, where warnings have been issued.
In a tragic escalation, Israeli airstrikes have targeted the Al Junio school in the Nuseirat refugee camp for the 5th time since October, killing at least 18 people, including 6 UN staff members. The attack has left a scene of devastation with significant casualties among displaced Palestinians. Witnesses describe horrific damage and chaos as emergency workers scramble through rubble to assist survivors. The Israeli military claims the strike targeted a Hamas facility, but this incident underscores ongoing international calls for accountability and a cessation of attacks on humanitarian sites in Gaza.
A 54-year-old man has committed suicide outside of Brazil's Supreme Court after detonating explosives, reportedly after being denied entry. The incident took place in Brasilia, and early investigations suggest the man, linked to far-right movements, may have been protesting his inability to meet with court officials. This tragedy highlights the ongoing political unrest in Brazil, especially as tensions rise following violent demonstrations by supporters of the former president Bolsonaro. The Supreme Court, under Justice Alexandre de Moraes, has become a target of criticism for its handling of anti-democratic activities and its aggressive stance against misinformation. The explosion highlights the deepening divides within Brazilian politics, worsened by the country's unstable political climate.
Australia is set to introduce a minimum age limit for social media use, likely between 14 and 16, in an effort to address concerns about the mental and physical health impacts on young people. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese announced the plan, aiming to encourage outdoor activities over online engagement. However, digital rights advocates warn that the restriction could drive teens to unregulated and potentially dangerous online spaces. Critics argue that the move may push young users to less safe platforms and hinder access to vital support resources. The government is preparing for a trial phase later this year to refine the age restriction policy.
We have incumbent New York State Senator Kirsten Gillibrand visiting our campus today. To get more insight on this momentous visit, we have our reporter Sky Crabtree out there on the scene. Sky?
I'm reporting live from Stony Brook University's administration building, where United States Senator Kirsten Gillibrand just held a press conference promoting the Department of Defense Cyber Academy Scholarship Program, which gives eligible college students free tuition in exchange for working same amount of years in the Department of Defense or the intelligence community as a cyber specialist. Stony Brook University's interim president, Richard McCormick, opened the press conference with remarks reflecting on Stony Brook's history with cybersecurity education. He then passed the mic off to United States Senator Kirsten Gillibrand.
But right now, we just don't have enough cybersecurity professionals in our federal, state, and local governments to adequately address this growing threat. Earlier this month, the DoD announced that it currently has about 28,000 unfilled military and civilian cyber roles. We urgently need to attract a new generation of cybersecurity and technology professionals to help keep our democracy safe and to be the inventors and solutions of our future. Through my work on the Senate Armed Services Committee, I established this Cyber Service Academy Scholarship Program to create a pipeline of cybersecurity workers and bolster national security.
After the press conference, we asked Gillibrand how she plans to work with President-elect Donald Trump to improve the state of higher education.
Not worried about programs like this being impacted. I will work with President-elect Trump on making sure our college campuses are safe. I've worked very hard on sexual assault policies for campuses, and so I'm going to probably reintroduce that legislation and see if that's something that President-elect's administration wants to work with me on it. College affordability is really important to me. I like the model of service in exchange for tuition, and so I'd like to augment the Cyber Academy with other public service opportunities like maybe nursing or teaching public servants to be able to get their college paid for in exchange for the years of service that their schooling covers. So those are just some ideas that I hope to work with the new administration on.
Now, I spoke to Senator Gillibrand after the press conference, but she told me that despite President-elect Donald Trump's antagonistic rhetoric towards higher education, she is committed to working with him to improve the needs of all students. The press conference lasted about half an hour. Back to you in the studio.
Let's now turn to Miriam Girgis with political news.
President-elect Donald Trump has tapped Elon Musk and Vivek Ramaswamy to run the newly created Department of Government Efficiency, which is an advisory board that will exist outside of the federal government. Both Musk and Trump have expressed that they want to curb government spending by as much as $2 trillion a year. A large part of their plan includes laying off up to 75% of the federal workforce. Musk acknowledged on X that the proposed cuts would create temporary hardships, but lead to long-term prosperity. Trump also recently nominated Matt Gaetz, a conservative House representative from Florida, for the position of Attorney General. The pick has already drawn controversy from both parties, as Gaetz was under investigation on allegations of sexual misconduct, including with minors. CNN reported that there was an audible reaction of shock inside the Justice Department headquarters when the news broke. As Attorney General, Gaetz would have control over the files containing evidence gathered against him.
Now let's hear from Maya Duclay for updates about health and technology.
Last week, former healthcare worker Trent Russell was sentenced to 2 years in prison. Russell illegally accessed the health records of former Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Ginsburg is the second woman to serve as a Supreme Court justice. In 2019, he published her information online when questions about her ability to serve as a justice were circulating. Russell also made the false claim that she had already passed away. Russell was convicted of illegally accessing healthcare information and destroying evidence in a federal investigation. After former President Donald Trump was re-elected, women across the country took steps to secure methods of birth control. This should not come as a surprise, as Trump has paraded his appointment of 3 Supreme Court justices who helped overturn Roe v. Wade. One company saw contraception requests increase 966% from the previous week after the election results came in. The big concern is, of course, that access to contraception and abortion will be severely limited under a second Trump term. Tonight, the last supermoon of the year will peak at 4:29 Eastern Time. Also known as the Beaver Moon, the supermoon can be seen anytime today and tomorrow during the night. The supermoon occurs when a full moon gets closest to the Earth in orbit. This supermoon also offers a different, quote, moon illusion where the moon looks even bigger on the horizon, but the cause of this optical illusion is still unknown. The Beaver Moon is the 4th consecutive supermoon of this year.
Maya, Angie, do you have any plans for tonight?
Actually, I am willing to go see the supermoon.
Oh my god, I was thinking of doing the exact same thing. Maya, what do you think?
too.
Beautiful.
And now for the exciting world of entertainment news with Joshua Lee and Biwin Liu.
Welcome to the Media Minute, where you get your latest news in entertainment and pop culture. I'm Joshua Lee.
And I'm Biwin Liu. Let's get into our topics for today.
Heading to the movies, Venom: The Last Dance continues to dominate the box office, securing the top spot for a 3rd consecutive weekend. The film grossed $16.2 million over Veterans Day weekend, bringing its domestic total to $114.8 million.
Israel will be challenged by a new Christmas movie, Red Worm. With the holiday season ramping up, the movie stars several A-list actors, including Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, Chris Evans, and J.K. Simmons.
Rock band My Chemical Romance has announced it will embark on their Long Live the Black Parade North American tour. Some of the artists that will support the tour are Death Cab for Cutie, Alice Cooper, and Pixies.
My Chemical Romance has had many hits from the 2000s, including tracks like Welcome to the Black Parade, I Don't Love You, and The Only Hope for Me Is You. The band's 11-date tour will go from July 11 to September 13, 2025, which includes stop at MetLife Stadium at East Rutherford, New Jersey on August 9 and Citizens Bank Park in Philadelphia on August 15.
In the latest entertainment news, the 67th Grammy nominations have been announced and fans are already stirring up a buzz. Beyoncé has once again made history by leading the 2025 Grammy nominations with 11 nods for her country album, Cowboy Carter. This achievement makes her the most nominated artist ever, surpassing her previous record.
Additionally, all eyes are on the Best New Artist category, with nominees like Doechii Chaperone and Sabrina Carpenter leading the race.
Some other artists with multiple nominations include R&B singer SZA, leading the pack with 9 separate Grammy nominations, and Phoebe Bridgers coming in second with a whopping 7 nominations. It's going to be quite the night as the Grammys are set to take place on February 2nd, 2025.
Thanks for tuning into this week's edition of the Media Minutes. Now let's turn over to the Word of Sport with Thomas Pardo.
Last Friday, the New York Islanders announced that former captain Brent Sutter will be inducted into the organization's Hall of Fame. Sutter was drafted 17th overall by the Islanders in 1980 and spent parts of 12 seasons with the team. He was a member of their 1982 and 1983 Stanley Cup championship teams. Sutter's 610 points with the team puts him in 6th place in franchise history. His induction is set for January 18, 2025, when the Islanders will face off against the San Jose Sharks. Sutter will also be going into the team's newly unveiled Ring of Honor at UBS Arena, which will also take place on that same night. The lead-up to this year's WWE Survivor Series War Games has been building up. Earlier in the week, 2 matches have been announced so far for the premium live event. Current World Heavyweight Champion, the Ring General, Gunther, will face former champion Damian Priest with the title on the line. In another match announced this week, the original Bloodline, led by former Universal Champion Roman Reigns, will go head-to-head with the new Bloodline, led by former ally of Reigns, Solo Sikoa. There also may be a surprise appearance from WWE legend and Hall of Famer The Rock. The Tampa Bay Rays have found a home for the 2025 MLB season. The Tampa Bay Times reports that the team has struck a deal to use Steinbrenner Field, the spring training facility of the New York Yankees, for next season. Their current home, Tropicana Field, was damaged heavily by Hurricane Milton, and the city of St. Petersburg estimates the repairs will cost around $55 million. The city says the stadium would be ready on time for opening day 2026. The Rays have already announced plans to open a new stadium in St. Petersburg for the 2028 season.
And that's all from the Stony Brook Media Group. See you next time.